We are right in the middle of day 2 of jury deliberations in Donald Trump's Manhattan trial, and I want to make sure you guys are caught up on all of the facts. As I'm recording this video, the jurors have been deliberating for 10 hours and 10 minutes on the dot, and we really don't know how long this will take. This could be resolved today, or this could be resolved in a few days. We really don't know for a fact, but let's catch you up on what's going on. So yesterday, the jurors sent 2 notes requesting 2 separate things. They wanted both the testimony of David Pecker and Michael Cohen, certain parts of it, and they also wanted Judge Merchan to reread certain parts of the jury instructions. Some certain CNN analysts said that the jury instructions were way too much for any human being to take in one sitting, and that's why the jurors requested to rehear certain parts of it. So this morning, Judge Juan Merchan began to read the jury instructions back. The reading came after the jury foreman asked aloud in court to have the instructions read back first. Merchan said earlier that pages 6 to 35 will be read. The jurors were scribbling notes as Judge Merchan reread the instructions. Then Judge Merchan began to read back key parts of Michael Cohen and David Pecker's testimony. CNN reports what the scene in the court is like during the testimony readback. One court reporter is reading the questions while the court reporter sitting in the witness seat reads the answers to the questions. The 2 court reporters, both women, are reading as the lawyer and the witness, both speaking with classic New York accents. Most of the jurors are watching the court reporters reading, some are taking notes. And then the jury sent a 3rd note at 9:32 a.m. this morning, New York time. CNN reads, the jury sent a new note this morning at 9:32 a.m. Here were their requests. 1. The jury asked for a rereading of the judge's instructions, starting with how the jury considers facts and what inferences they can draw from it, including a metaphor about rain. 2. The jury wanted to hear the instructions related to the charges for count 1. And then 3. Jurors requested headphones to listen to the evidence laptop. Judge Juan Merchan also said they could have speakers. Remember, the jury was not given a written copy of Merchan's charging instructions when they began deliberating yesterday. While most federal judges will send the actual document with the jury as it deliberates, New York state courts forbid this practice. And I actually find this part to be incredibly interesting. So the jury asked Judge Juan Merchan to reread a metaphor about rain that he read yesterday, and here is the metaphor. Quote, for example, suppose you go to bed one night when it is not raining, and when you wake up in the morning, you look out your window. You do not see rain, but you see that the street and the sidewalk are wet, and that people are wearing raincoats and carrying umbrellas. Under those circumstances, it may be reasonable to infer, that is, conclude that it rained during the night. In other words, the fact of it having rained while you were asleep is an inference that might be drawn from the proven facts of the presence of the water on the street and sidewalk and people in raincoats and carrying umbrellas. So obviously that relates to the case, as the jurors may have to infer certain things. And then as far as the testimony rereading goes, after the jury was dismissed yesterday, attorneys for both sides hashed out which sections of the testimony would be read to the jurors. Here are the pieces of testimony the jury requested. American Media Inc. chief David Pecker's testimony about his phone call with Trump in June 2016, Pecker's testimony about not finalizing Trump's payment to AMI for Karen McDougal's life rights, Pecker's testimony about the August 2015 Trump Tower meeting, and then former Trump fixer Michael Cohen's testimony about the Trump Tower meeting. And then after the readback was concluded, it's reported that Trump flashed a thumbs up at somebody sitting in the gallery, and then him and his team left the courtroom as Donald Trump pumped his fist. And here's some interesting data that CNN provides. Most voters say Trump verdict will have little effect on their choice. A new NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll is the latest to suggest that any verdict in Donald Trump's hush money trial is unlikely to have a major effect on voters' choices come November. Overall, 67% of registered voters say a guilty verdict in the trial would not make a difference to their votes, while 76% say the same about a not guilty verdict. Those figures are similar to other recent polling on the topic, including a May Quinnipiac poll, which found that 65% of registered voters said that if Trump were convicted, it would be unlikely to change their position on the presidential race. A CNN poll conducted in April as the trial's jury was being selected found that only 24% of registered voters who support Trump said they might even reconsider their support if Trump were convicted of a crime. Now, CNN tries to downplay this, but 24% is a massive amount of voters. Even if 5%, even if 3% of Trump voters decided to not vote for him due to this conviction, he loses the race. That is it for him. So 24%, especially in some of these key swing states, could make or or break this race. And I don't really think the problem is the Trump voters here. If Trump gets convicted, or if he doesn't get convicted, he has a cult-like following that will vote for him no matter what. But there are a lot of independents, and as you know, independent voters will decide this election. There's even an argument to be made that they decided the 2016 election by either abstaining from voting or voting third party, because as we know, Donald Trump won the race by a few thousand votes in certain key swing states. So these numbers could have a massive implication. And here are the jury instructions that Judge Juan Merchan reread in court today. So Judge Juan Merchan delivered his instructions to jurors yesterday before they began deliberations in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial. The jury asked in a note for the judge to reread portions of them in court today, which is totally normal for incredibly long jury instructions. So here's what Merchan told jurors in his instructions yesterday. They must not make a decision based on biases or stereotypes. They must set aside personal differences. They must not speculate about how long a potential sentence may be or what the punishment might be. That's up to the judge. They can't hold it against Trump for not testifying. The, quote, people must prove beyond a reasonable doubt every element of the crime. He reminds the jury it must not rest its verdict on speculation. They can consider whether a witness hopes to receive a benefit related to the trial or if they have an interest in how the case ends. They cannot convict Trump on Michael Cohen's testimony alone because he's an accomplice, but they can use his evidence if corroborated with other evidence. The jury must be unanimous if they find Trump guilty on each count on whether he committed the crime personally, acted in concert with others, or both. They must determine if Trump conspired to promote someone or prevent them from public office by unlawful means. They should deliberate with a view toward reaching an agreement without surrendering individual judgment. Jurors' notes cannot be used in place of evidence. The foreperson will deliver the verdict for each count after deliberations are over. Jurors must surrender their phones and can only discuss the case when all 12 of them are together. And we're already hearing reports that Trump's attorney expects an appeal in case of conviction. Will Scharf, an attorney for former President Donald Trump, said that Trump's team is prepared to appeal a jury verdict if Trump is convicted. Quote, if there were to be a conviction here, which we believe would be a gravely unjust verdict, we would speedily appeal to the New York Appellate Division, potentially to the New York Court of Appeals as well. And we'll take that step if we get there, Scharf told CNN's Jake Tapper. But so far, we think that appears to be a highly unlikely outcome here, Scharf added. And apparently Trump and his team have been watching the trial coverage from the courthouse as the deliberations are underway. CNN reports former President Donald Trump and his team have been watching news coverage of the trial on a television that was brought into the room they are waiting in, two sources familiar with the setup tell CNN. Trump has also spent a lot of his time watching clips of allies and surrogates defending him on television. The clips were sent to him and advisors at the courthouse, one source reported. That is it for right now. I will keep you guys updated on any more developments. Please don't spend all day and night worrying about this. It's not worth it. Donald Trump is not worth it. But either way, make sure you leave a like on this video if you appreciate what I'm doing. Comment a blue heart if you made it this far. Hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, have a great day.